welcome all to this BC coding workshop. My name is Ivo van der Merel. Can anyone guess where that's from? Dutch. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, there we go. From the Netherlands, where I was born and raised, and I, by trade, I'm a game developer. It's what I studied. I call myself a bit of a traveler because I've worked in China and Vietnam before, and now, of course, here in Canada. Yeah, what I've been doing here in Canada is I've worked as a teacher at the Vancouver Film School, which you guys might know. And I was also the department head, actually, of the Shanghai Vancouver Film School, which is another department of VFS that they recently opened. But of course, I now no longer work for Vancouver Film School. I now work at Under the GUI as a teacher, and I help out with curriculum, and I help out with workshops like these, and all kinds of things related to teaching code, which is exactly what I'm doing in that picture, as you can see. Although it was actually a framed picture. It wasn't actually. That's all I want to say about me. Let's dive into what we're going to talk about to put your minds at ease. It's not going to be just a slideshow. I really want to dive into the workshop part and have you guys also play around with PixelPAD, of course, but there's a few introductions I want to do to explain what it is. I'll talk a bit about programming. I'll talk a bit about PixelPAD, the engine that we're going to be using. I will discuss the grades K to 12 course overview, of course, which is going to be very useful for you. Then we're going to dive into that workshop using something called PixelPAD Blockly, and then we're going to go into PixelPAD Python, okay? And I will explain what all of those things mean exactly. I'll talk about some advanced features at the very end, and what I hope your takeaway will be is that why PixelPAD is a great tool to learn how to code, but also what's very important for us is that we want you to experience how easy it is for you to teach PixelPAD. We know that you cannot spend all your time learning how to code first and spend your Sunday afternoons on that. So we've designed this tool to make it really easy for any teacher to work with. Okay, why programming? Why games? Probably, since some of you already taught it. Actually, Darren stole my question. Who has programmed before? I saw a few hands. Can I see those again? Who's programmed before? Can someone say maybe what language? If it was Scratch or maybe another language?
Scratch.
I hear Scratch, yeah?
Scratch and Python.
Python as well? Okay, awesome.
Scratch.
Scratch as well? Scratch, of course, a lot of Scratch. Yeah, Scratch, yeah. That is the go-to, I would say, and it's a great one to start with. Python actually is the other thing that we're going to talk about today. One thing that I want to clarify also, maybe especially for the ones that are not as familiar with code, this is not about creating a new generation where everyone is a software engineer. That is really not the point of us teaching code and should never be the point of you teaching code because, of course, everyone should become what they want to become. The idea behind coding, I always say it's kind of like playing the guitar. When you're young and you learn how to play the guitar, that's not because you want to become a professional guitarist. Well, maybe you do, but not necessarily. The same goes for code. Like just being able to know how to code, that really helps you with your general development and helps you to see a lot of structure. So again, similar to playing guitar, coding can be very, very helpful for the development of any students. I always say it helps you understand some of the world today. Of course, a lot of things will always be hidden, especially within the times of technologies, of course. Very, very useful to have some understanding of how that was made and what it can do to us. This is one that I found is quite great. I don't know how many of you have dealt with students that were maybe not as into math or not as into physics even. The nice thing about coding is that it gives that a purpose. So when you're learning about math, you generally just look at the numbers, and some kids are great with numbers. Other kids, they prefer the visual type, as you all know, of course. With coding, you can make the numbers visible, and that really makes it very interesting for kids to use. It teaches logic, of course. It teaches other languages, again, as Darren already mentioned, and it teaches structure. And again, all those three things are super important for the development of any kid. Of course, we always make sure to meet all the ADST standards in our course. We always consider that when developing new courses, what we still do. What is PixelPAD? We've mentioned it a few times. It is a website, and we developed that specifically to teach young kids how to code. Okay, so that's the great thing about this website. It's not just some regular coding software that professional software developers only use. No, it's actually designed to make it very easy to pick up. A great thing is that it runs on any device. It's very light. Jamie mentioned that was one of the things we noticed, that there's a lot of different devices in different classes. It runs on a phone, runs on any device. Designed to be easy to pick up for students, but also for teachers. I understand you're busy, so we design it in a way that makes it very easy for teachers to pick up. It has a classroom management system. When students create their accounts, then you can see all the student accounts, which is very useful. We've noticed in the past that can sometimes be useful when they lose their password, etc. Again, we designed all courses specifically for K-12, meeting all the ADST standards. So what is great, we've been using this in our schools. It's been used by our students, loved by our students, I can say. One of the coolest things is when you get started with PixelPAD, you right away see the results. And that is just super fun to have students get super excited about, like, oh my God, I can create this now. So that is what we've seen, and hopefully you will see too in your classroom. Last but not least, free for public schools. We recently made it free for all public schools to use. All the courses that we've created, free to use. Again, we're still creating a lot of new courses, free to use. We want to allow public schools to use this without having to go through budget meetings, etc. Right? Hopefully going to make it easy for you to use it. Grades K-3. What we have for grades K-3 is something called Blockly. I hear a lot of Scratch. Scratch is a great tool. Visual, as you can see, Blockly is the same way. Very recently actually added this to PixelPAD, and we're going to open this later on the full website so you can see it more clearly then, but you can see perhaps already it's also block-based coding. You actually do coding puzzles. You're always given a challenge, and you go through it by placing blocks, which is a great way to learn about giving instructions to a computer. What we do in the course here is that we actually work together with Brambleberry Tills, which is a story about Aboriginal Canadians in modern times that are going on an adventure together or end up in an adventure together. There's Lily, who's the girl in the bottom left, and there's Thomas, who's her brother, in the top right. And the entire course is story-based, so it actually goes over this story as you progress through the levels. The courses that we have, there are 3 stories. We're going to go through story 1 today, and in fact story 2 and 3 will be added soon after. So that's for K-3. I'll also, of course, talk a little bit now about the grades 4+, for which we use something called Python. Python is a programming language where students actually have to write some code. Sounds scary, so we've try to make that as simple as possible. And the great thing is that they can learn actually what a language is. So it's not just blocks, but it's a real language. So the barrier to get over the fear of code becomes a lot smaller. The courses we have for that are 3 courses that we developed. We actually have books for everyone in this session. We have paperback books for you guys. We'll hand those out later for you to try them out. There are also PDFs online to download, but we'll give you guys these books after the session. Then we have a few other tutorials. There's a little space game. There's a course called Monkey Madness, which is a little platforming, a balloon game. Does anyone know what an RPG is? Yes? Role-playing game, yes, that's right. Role-playing game. It's a type of game. And there is Fruit Ninja, which, has anyone ever played Fruit Ninja? Yeah, I see some smiles. That's good, that's good. Yeah, so you can actually see that's the picture right over there. It's the little fruit, exactly. I see people swiping. Yeah, that's right, that's right. So it's all about creating any kinds of game, really. Like a PixelPAD can run on anything. Like I said, it actually runs on your phone. So this is a pretty advanced course, so it's not the one to start with, but you can actually play that game on your phone, which is pretty cool. This is the last slide before we go into the workshop. I just want to also mention a few things that for more advanced students, we have some other languages that we added, Java and Web, that allows for 3D graphics. It allows for students to learn HTML in a very easy and approachable way. We even have hardware integration, and what you see there is Jamie using his feet there to play a little running game that we created all through PixelPAD. And even at the very hardest level, I would say, is AI, which stands for artificial intelligence. We're basically just integrating those things for the more advanced students. We're not going to talk about all of this today because, again, it is a bit more advanced. In this workshop, we are going to go into Blockly and Python.